I don't expect the dollar to collapse.
Not at all?
No, not in the least.
No. Not worried. Or for the New York Stock Exchange.
No, the dollar is going to be very strong.
Never going to collapse.
Some people that got stranded on an island, and I think it was 6 or 7 were Asians, and there was 1 American. And as soon as they got stranded on the island, they had to divvy up the jobs. And one Asian was given the job of fishing. The other one was hunting. One of them got a job of gathering firewood, you know. So they all had jobs, and the American was assigned the job of eating. And so at the end of the day, they would all gather around and prepare this feast, and the American would sit there and eat it. And he wouldn't eat it all. He'd leave just enough crumbs so he can give it to the 6 Asians so they can go on and repeat it again tomorrow. Spend all day preparing a meal for the American to eat. And now the way modern economists would look at it, they would say, well, this American is vital to the whole island economy. Without him, nobody would have to fish, nobody would have to hunt, nobody would have to gather firewood. I mean, he's creating all this employment on the island. But the reality is, every Asian on an island, his lot in life would be dramatically improved if they kicked the American off the island. Because now they'd have a lot more to eat, or maybe they wouldn't have to spend all day hunting and fishing, and they can, you know, they can lie on the beach a little bit.
U.S. is consuming a lot and is consuming above its ability. That's why it has been reflected in the trade deficit and the current account deficit. And who is willing to finance and pay for the deficit is basically, in large part, I'm not saying in the whole, is Asia.
Central banks or monetary authorities lose confidence in the perceived value of dollar-denominated assets. They will begin to diversify their portfolios into other assets, whether they're euro, yen-denominated, who knows, renminbi-denominated. Right now, foreign investors and foreign central banks are heavily overweighted dollars in all of their portfolios. So as America's current account deficit gets bigger and bigger, implicitly we're asking our foreign creditors to increase their overweight. So we're not satisfied that you as a foreign investor may have, say, hypothetically, a 60 or 75% weight in dollar-denominated assets. We want you to take it up higher and higher and higher, because that's the only way we can keep the music going.
We're going to have to stop spending and start saving. We're going to have to stop consuming and start producing. But of course that transition involves a very significant recession, and nobody wants that. So everybody is trying to postpone it, but all they're doing is assuring us that the recession is that much more severe because the imbalances are getting wider, which means it's going to be more sacrifice.
And when foreigners lose their confidence in the long-term security of these assets they're holding, then the portfolio adjustments could be swift and severe.
We are living beyond our means. By contrast, the rest of the world collectively has to be living below their means. They're sacrificing so that we can indulge ourselves. And when that stops, there's going to be a major realignment of global living standards. You're going to see Americans consuming a lot less. Our lifestyles are going to be diminished dramatically. And other people will start to enjoy the purchasing power that we lost. I don't know how it's going to play out in Europe. I think the biggest beneficiaries of our loss of purchasing power are probably going to be in Asia. There you're going to see the biggest increases in relative standards of living as they start consuming a lot more. I mean, right now, America, take an example, we consume 50% of the world's gasoline. Well, that means the rest of the world has to get by with the half that we don't consume. Well, when Americans are priced out of the market, when the dollar collapses and we can't afford to use up all that gasoline, that means there's more gasoline for everybody else. And, I think the countries that are the most suppressing their own currencies in Asia. Once, it's like holding a beach ball underneath the water. Once they take your hands away, it's going to shoot up, and you're going to see huge realignments upwards in these Asian currencies, and they're going to have much greater purchasing power, and they're going to, all of a sudden, a lot of people in China who are riding bicycles are going to find that now they can afford automobiles. Maybe they'll send some of those bicycles over here because we won't be able to drive our SUVs anymore.
Nou, ik moet u eerlijk zeggen, in Washington vorig
Never gonna collapse.
Hey,